the accused, me, I guess. But it's not me, we know that. I have a judgment by estoppel vacating any charges against Luke Michelle Dennis, so I don't know what charges you're talking about. Does Crown recognize that judgment, Mr. Jaffa? I have evidences and witnesses that he's received it. Yes, but do you recognize that as a lawful estoppel? And the Crown, that Jaffa guy, goes, I do not. The court goes, I see. So given that then, Mr. Dennis, as far as I'm concerned, the matters are still before the court and they're here for a plea. So what plea do you wish to enter to all of these charges? I get from your material here that it should be not guilty. I says, Your Honor, I'm quite clear from your material you want to plead not guilty. Is that correct? I need to know, are you personally seeking to cause me harm, Your Honor? Mister, I am not on trial here. I'm here to ask you if you are ready to enter your plea on this. And I'm here to tell you that I did read your material this morning while on the bench, and it seems to me that you are denying responsibility for these charges. Would that be correct? I have an uncontested sworn affidavit entered into that file. And under law, an uncontested affidavit stands as the only material that we need to discuss.
That's what he said, or you said?
That's what I said. The court, do you want me to file these materials for you? She held them up. I says, absolutely I do. All right, so we will file these, Madam Clerk, as well as an exhibit. I guess it's in today's proceedings. And what I need from you today, Mr. Dennis, is that when I read those papers, I get that you want to plead not guilty to these charges. You do not want to take responsibility for these charges. Is that correct? That is not my intention, Your Honor. She goes, okay. I submitted a sworn affidavit, which under law, if not contested, stands as the only thing that could be entered into evidence in any court. Well, they have an opportunity to present the case upon them, and you can dispute their arguments that I made under, okay, first of all, I said their opportunity to present their case rests upon them disputing the arguments that I made under swearing of oath. So, and I says, I've sworn an oath. You want to have a trial, is that right? I said, no. The court goes, no. I says, I do not need a trial because I have, by default, a judgment by estoppel vacating all charges against Luke Michelle Dennis. Well, the Crown does not accept that, Mr. Dennis, and then the prosecutor, I have no information on that estoppel, Your Honor, and I haven't had an opportunity to review the affidavits that's provided to the court. It's in the file. He hasn't reviewed the affidavit. He needs time to review them because I'm relying on those as my remedy, Your Honor. Now, there was 3 bailiffs standing behind my back until I said those words. Then they all went and sat down. Every time I went into court, they'd stand behind me.
Whoa.
Are they in the file, Mr. Jaffa? I have proof. To whom did you deliver them? I submitted them, some in person and also by registered mail, which I have the copies that they've received it. To whom did you give them? I gave them to the prosecutor, Tracy Davis. Now, there's a very interesting story with Tracy Davis. She asked me, when I first went in the very second time, third time, she tried to get me to go get a mental health assessment. She brought that up in court, so she kind of ticked me off. So I appointed her fiduciary debtor, creditor? Fiduciary creditor or debtor, I think it was creditor. So she's responsible for the matter now. And I sent her paperwork, and the next day in court, she was hiding in the courtroom. She wouldn't show her face.
She was in the foyer.
Yeah, she was in the foyer.
Outside the door.
She wouldn't show you. Man, she's getting dumped on with a lot of paperwork. Okay, so also I can't remember his name, and all agents regarding the Crown are dealing with this matter. I've submitted them to their office. Mrs. Davis is not here today. You can see that. Oh, I also appointed her fiduciary on this matter. Well, whether she accepts that appointment is totally a different thing, right? Your Honor, you're fully aware that any member of the bar cannot reject fiduciary appointments.
Oh.
Well, no, I'm not familiar with that. In fact, I would reject that submission. So here's the thing, Mr. Dennis. I would like to have your plea today. The matters have been here for 5, 6 times. So I need to know from you, are you going to enter a not guilty plea or a guilty plea?
Freeman will not plead.
I says, Your Honor, with respect, I cannot enter a plea when I have a judgment by estoppel, which I'm relying on as my remedy. Well, here's what I'm going to do then. I'm entering a not guilty plea for you on all these charges. I said, for on the record, let the record show that Your Honor has accepted responsibility for these charges because only the accused enters a plea. Well, that is, the judge goes, well, that's not correct, sir. Oh, well, I'll appoint you fiduciary debtor. Well, as Your Honor knows, under the criminal code, if the accused, this is the prosecutor, the criminal code, if he refuses to provide an election or a plea, and the judge goes, I know, It's deemed to be a not guilty plea. The court goes, that is right. And Jaffe goes, yes, it is deemed, sir. Well, I didn't enter that. I says, well, I didn't enter that plea. It is not that I'm entering for you, it is deemed. Right? To stop them from deeming you reserved. Okay? Okay, I have to reject that offer for cause, Your Honor. So we need a trial date. I says, I need to reject that offer for cause, Your Honor. Well, it's not your option, and I need to know who you're personally, and I need to know why you're personally seeking to cause me harm. I am not trying to cause you harm, sir. I'm trying to get this matter moved forward to a trial date. If you're not trying to cause me harm, why is this fantasy court of yours continually asking for my presence and a plea to charges that don't exist? They do exist, sir, and so I'm going to ask you to go upstairs to the 5th floor. I says, well, whose charges are they? They didn't want to answer that question. Okay, the court, you need to go to the 5th floor of this building. I'm going to ask you to go upstairs to the 5th floor of this building to get a trial date. I reject your offer for cause, Your Honor. Okay, have a seat. We'll get a trial date for you. I choose to sit down on my own free will. Now, at this point, which it says you need to go up to the 5th floor to get a trial. Thank you, Your Honor. As soon as I want a trial, I'll do that. Walk out the front door. I mean, I could have done that. Because they can't force you to go up to the 5th floor. And they can't proceed to trial date without you going up to the 5th floor and getting. Now, I don't know what they do after. If I walked right out and never went up to the 5th floor and didn't come back into that courtroom, I don't know what their next game plan would have been. I don't know. But you got to remember, they wanted me to walk up to the 5th floor and tell them I wanted a trial. Obviously, you're being led down the garden path somewhere. Okay, so I said, okay, Mr. Jeffrey, we're just going to have to have at some point go up and get a trial. They made the prosecutor go up and do it. So he ran up there, I guess. And then, okay, if you could just, okay, then I assume that you're looking for, then they just talked about these court dates. And
you do have remedy available to you. They have hidden that. They did so
by changing the definitions of certain very important words.
You need to understand what those words are. You need to know how they have changed the definition.
You need to understand these details. The details you have,
the clearer the picture, the clearer the picture, the more freedom can be.
This is the trickery they put you in. So after they brought the paper down for it, I said I believe, well, this is what I said to the judge. I believe we could settle this matter without a trial, and since you were so virtuous to put my files that I had those statements of fact to which I have submitted, which have been undisputed, and I'm the only person in the room with first-hand knowledge, I will plead guilty to those facts and seek summary judgment from you. And I can read those facts into the record if you'd like. So I wanted to end the matter right now because I'm the only one that can speak to the facts. Everything the prosecutor says is hearsay. If they start speaking about the legal fiction's name, you could say, excuse me, Your Honor, I never gave this man or woman permission to speak on my behalf, and I'm firing her if she has any doubt about it. And I will not accept anything they have to say. I'm here to speak for my own matters. So then it said, those facts are not the charges before me. That's what the judge said. It said, so I have to deal with the submissions that I've been told to you. And I have to deal with the Crown's case as well. Those are the informations that we have. And we've managed to get to you 3 separate trial dates. And they just kept talking about, when those trial dates would be. And I think that was the last time I said anything. Oh, I says that, they went on and on about disclosure of this and that. And I says, well, if we're all equal before the law, because he wouldn't acknowledge my judgment or my estoppel, I says, well, if we're all equal before the law, I can just not acknowledge his. And they says, wow, the criminal code makes certain provisions that we, as a society in total, are all bound by, and in order to make our society work and be livable, we have to deal with the criminal code and charges pursuant to the way that the criminal code and the law says. At that point, it should have said, what society? I don't belong to no society.
Yeah,
what society are you speaking of?
If they ever say the society they're talking about.
The biggest threat to us all today is not the people who feel that they are responsible for governing themselves. The biggest threat to us all today are those